Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast on this lovely Friday afternoon. I'm, of course, FPL Nima, and I'm joined by my co-host, as usual, Clayton at Clayton AFC on Twitter. We have a very special guest for you today for the West Ham preview. We've got at FPLFella on Twitter, or is it underscore? Is it just FPLFella? No, it's just FPL. I don't want to get it wrong, plug you the wrong name to start with. So Dan's kindly agreed to join us. He's a big Hammers fan, goes to most of the matches. I think you're a season ticket holder as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I am. Since we moved to the new stadium, I've been a season ticket holder, yeah.
Nice. So we're really excited. I think lots of people on Twitter were excited as well to have you on as a guest. So I know this is one of your first kind of things like this, especially on a rival fans podcast, not even FPL related, right?
Yeah,
are we rivals?
No, we all hate Tottenham, man. We're friends.
Yeah, I don't mind Arsenal.
We all hate Tottenham and Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we thought before we go into like what we normally do in these previews, which is predict the lineups for both teams and look at score predictions and how maybe the tactics will play out, we thought it'd be a good opportunity to just get a bit of a summary from you, to be honest, about kind of West Ham, like how you feel the season's been going, any, I guess, highlights and lowlights, and how Europe is going, like last night's game, if you think that maybe has an impact. And it'd be good to just get a bit of your input.
So obviously we're in quite a tight relegation battle at the moment. I guess there's probably 8 or 9 teams that are with us as well. It looks like Southampton have been cut adrift a bit. I guess they're 5 points from safety at the moment. So you could look at that one as that's one down with 2 from kind of the other 7 to go down. We got a very important win against Fulham last weekend in a tight game, and people say that Europe has kind of hampered our Premier League campaign, but we should have the squad to be able to deal with that. We've got 2 or 3 players in each position, but I think what's happened this season is we've had quite a few players come in, different players to the kind of tactics we have been playing in the past. Obviously, we had Paqueta come in, hasn't set the world alight yet, and obviously getting used to the Premier League for a Brazilian player can be tough sometimes. We also had Scamacca come in, who hasn't kind of dealt with the Premier League too well either. He's had a couple of injuries, and he's obviously out injured at the moment, so isn't featuring in the Premier League or in Europe. To use Europe as an excuse for a bad Premier League campaign, I don't, that doesn't wash with me really. We had a really good season last year. Obviously in the Premier League, we finished 7th last year, and obviously got the semi-final in the Europa. So we played a lot of games last year. So yeah, I can't see where that's coming from. I think we'll get out of it. We've got a mixture of fixtures left. Obviously, we've got to play you on. You've got to play you on Sunday. We've still got to play Liverpool as well on April 26th, I think it is. And then we've got a mixture of teams that are down there with us and teams that on paper we could kind of beat. Our last home game, which is our penultimate game of the season, is against Leeds. And then the last game of the season is against Leicester. So
those last 2 games are
blockbuster entertainment. Is away to Leicester. So let's hope that at game week 38 meets, I'm not watching a kind of a relegation 6-pointer with Leicester, and whoever kind of wins that goes down. And I don't like to say this about other teams, but hopefully Leicester are down by then, and it's if we do need a result on that day, then it doesn't mean anything for Leicester other than final game of the season and a bit of pride. But no, that's where we are at the moment. I think we're 3 points above the relegation zone at the moment. So there's that little gap. We've got you, and then we've got Bournemouth, after that. So I mean, I guess we could consider the Arsenal game as a bit of a free ticket. What we can get on Sunday, I don't know, and I guess we'll move on to that. But the really important game will be that Bournemouth game, and I think if we can get 3 points there, it gives us an even bigger gap.
Gives you some because right now 3 points is that one game buffer, right?
One game, but if we can grab another victory, a victory against Bournemouth, then it looks like it could be a 4, 5, 6 point gap by then. And then I think with 6 games to go, it's looking a bit more kind of healthy. Last night wasn't great. Obviously,
I was going to ask about that because, obviously, I saw Ings got the early goal and it all looked good. You had a slightly rotated side. There was some first teamers. There was also some not starting. But it kind of felt like you had to bring the rest of them on to try and get over the line.
I think that's what Moyes tends to do in Europe this year. He kind of doesn't play a full side of kids, or what we call kids, or fringe players. He kind of drops 5 or 6, and that happened last night. I mean, we had Zuma, Paqueta, Souček, Benrahma all on the bench, who are kind of starters in the Premier League. But then, to give them minutes, he can bring them on in the last half an hour, which he did last night. I don't want to say he played for a draw or played not to lose last night, but it very much looked like that. I think on the commentary they were saying as well that if we'd have gone up a couple of gears, we could have hurt them. But credit to Genk, they were a very decent side, and Gift Orban, their kind of striker, who's kind of setting the Belgian league alight at the moment. I think he scored the quickest ever European hat trick the other in the last round. He's a very decent player, and I guess teams in the Premier League or in kind of other stronger leagues will be looking to bring him in kind of next season. But brings us to kind of the next leg next week. Very, very tough fixture. So we'll see.
Going?
Yeah, I'll be going next week. Yeah.
That could be a good night, to be fair.
Yeah. Let's hope.
I was with you for the Anderlecht game, weren't I?
Yeah, and that was brilliant, wasn't it? I think they were letting off flares in the away section, and I think we bought tickets close to the away fans so that we could soak up that atmosphere. Because where I kind of sit every week at home, I'm kind of the other end, but it's always nice to get that flavour of what the away fans are like, and they were very rowdy on the night, and I think they took up their full allocation, and they were.
These European fans, they're mental, aren't they?
They're on another level compared to us Brits. Every time I've seen European fans, they've got flares. They've always got flares.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance of us getting them again in the next round, because I think the semi would be against Anderlecht or, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's against Anderlecht or AZ Alkmaar. So, and I believe Anderlecht won last night. So it could be a repeat in the semi. So
I don't know if you covered this. I was having internet issues, but with your season, Dan, obviously your squad is so much better than where you should be in the table. And as you guys, you know me quite well. I like underlying stats and all of that. You're not a team that, if you're looking at all of those metrics, should be where you are in the table. What is it? Because even I was with you for the Newcastle game, right? That weren't a 5-1 game. But
it wasn't a 5-1 game. I think we were still having a beer when the third goal went in, and it's a mixture of tactics with the new players. Moyes just doesn't know how to get the best out of a kind of a new striker. Scamacca and Ings playing on their own. Do they like playing on their own? They probably come from sides that play with 2 up top, and we played 2 up top against Fulham. So will Moyes go to a 2 up top with Ings and Antonio on Sunday? I don't know. And I think game management as well. You're 2-1 down going into half time, and then silly mistakes
That's what it felt like in the Newcastle game.
Silly mistakes, and you're 3-4-1 down, and you're walking out the stadium, and it's a bit, it hurts when to lose that heavily against a team, but when you're a team like West Ham, a 2-1 or a 5-1, you're still getting the same points. So you move on, you move on, and you move on to a victory in the next game. So
from the outside looking in, I don't know if it's lazy to say this, but it feels like you've been unlucky consistently.
I think so. I mean, there isn't many games where we've had the floor wiped with us. I remember the Brighton one back in February or March, I think, when we lost 4-0, and then obviously the Newcastle game. But I think that's how Moyes sets up. It seems as if he sets us up not to lose rather than go out and win games. I wouldn't be surprised if on Sunday we play a 5 at the back. That's just the manner of how Moyes is. But yeah.
We have been. I was
going to say that makes sense, because I know when you saw the lineup from the last game, you were like, "That's definitely not what we're going to be doing."
Do you want to bring that up?
Yeah, why don't we go to your lineup first?
This team was a bit of a reaction from the Newcastle game. I think obviously, he dropped Emerson, played Cresswell instead. Don't think Soufal started against Newcastle either. So bit of a reaction and maybe a lot different tactics in this. Obviously, this is a 4-4-2 where we usually play kind of a 4-2-3-1 formation usually in the Premier League against the beatable teams. But I would imagine that on Sunday we will probably play kind of 3-5 at the back with Ogbonna, Zuma, Agurd, and then Emerson on the left and Soufal on the right. And then in front of them two will probably be Souček and Paqueta, Rice and Souček, or Rice and Paqueta. And then from there, he'll pick between Benrahma, Bowen, Fornals, Lanzini, and then Antonio or Ings up top. I would probably think that he'll go with Antonio up top just to kind of try and bully your defence. Ings is obviously more of a wants it on the floor, wants it played to him, where for Antonio we'll probably play it into the channels for him to run into and kind of bully players like Zinchenko down the wing. And then obviously Antonio is probably more of a presence at set pieces as well. So obviously Ings started last night, and I had people kind of replying to me on Twitter saying, "Oh, doesn't look good for Ings tomorrow on Sunday, him starting, blah, blah, blah." But last year was quite easy with predicting our lineup, but this season seems a bit more difficult with our larger squad.
Yeah, no, I think one thing I'd be worried about, I don't know about you, Clayton, is I feel like Paqueta's like the one kind of player that I'd be worried about. I know it's not quite gone the way we would think for him, but this is the starting number 10 for Brazil's national team. Like, I think you kind of, systems aside, I believe a moment of magic is possible at any time. And it is wild that, like, it's not quite gone the way I thought it would yet for him, but I have high hopes. Do you think he would start in place of Souček? So it would be kind of Rice and one of Souček or Paqueta? Like, is there a chance Paqueta doesn't start?
It'll probably be Rice and one of those two on Sunday.
Do you have a preference?
I'd like it to be Paqueta. I think 99.9% of West Ham fans would prefer it to be Paqueta. Souček seems to be kind of Moyes' golden child, really. I mean, people dig him out, but he's been brilliant for us. He was amazing kind of the last two seasons. One little stat that you'll like is that, do you remember the year that he got sent off against Fulham?
I think it was Fulham, wasn't it?
Yeah, a silly VAR decision that Mike Dean sent him off. If he hadn't have been sent off in that game, he'd have played every single minute for us in the Premier League that year. And I even think the yellow card was like in the 92nd or 93rd minute. So no, Souček's been a great player for us. But I think to take us to the next level, players like Paqueta is kind of preferred from the fans' point of view.
It's weird because obviously, Nima, you asked there, like, am I worried about Paqueta? And like looking at West Ham as a team, you still look at it. Well, I do. I look at it on paper, and I think there's so many areas you guys can hurt teams, and that's why I can't wrap my head around your league position. And I still think on Sunday, what you just said, Dan, like Antonio will run the channels if he plays. Like he will look to get in that pocket where Zinchenko vacates space. But you've got like Rice in the engine room, and I don't know, Bowen. Like I think there's loads of angles that you guys can hurt teams and us.
It's nice to hear that from kind of rival fans, but then I guess you guys don't see kind of 90 minutes live West Ham every week, and it is on paper. Like I have people reply to me on Twitter saying that's not a relegation side on paper, blah blah blah. But that's just on paper. It's not on the day. It's completely different. And I think the players on the pitch need to start gelling. And I don't know if Rice has got one eye on next season already at another club. I guess you just smiled, Clayton, because I guess you'd love him at Arsenal, and I guess that's obviously been rumoured. But yeah, when your captain is someone who may be leaving in the summer, is that affecting us? Moyes sometimes drops players for kind of silly reasons. He punishes players like that, so that's team morale. So I don't know if last season it was we were riding high in the league, we were doing well in a better European competition, so the confidence was there, and that's the game, isn't it? You ride on confidence, you ride on form. Going into Sunday's game, we've had a mixture of results, so let's see, I guess, what we can do. As I said earlier, I think it's a free card. It's a free credit on Sunday, and I said before the pod, I take a kind of a 1 or 2-0, but yeah, if we could get a draw, that would be an incredible result.
Nice. Well, we've done the West Ham lineup. Should we go to ours before doing score predictions? I think ours is kind of like you said about West Ham last year being easy to predict. That's us this year, right? Yeah. So same as usual. I think
same lineup as last week. Yeah. Someone was asking me yesterday, like, what do you think happens with the likes of Trossard for the rest of the season? And I just don't see a world in which he doesn't start over he starts over Jesus with 1 week between each game. Maybe if there was anything for Martinelli. Reason, I just can't see how Martinelli's dropped on this form. He is currently 3 Premier League goals away from becoming the highest ever goal-scoring Brazilian in Premier League history in one season. And he's 21, man.
Yeah, considering the types of Brazilians that have been in the league as well. It's not bad at all.
This is what I mean. Like, I think Firmino is the record holder at the moment with the 3 extra goals or 2 extra goals on Martinelli. But I just find it wild. This is a stat that I think our friend Craig put up. It's a bit FPL related, but you're like this, Clayton. So FPL editor on Twitter. He said that over the last 4 game weeks, obviously United and Leicester had a double game week. So they played 10 fixtures, right? And Bruno Fernandes and Maddison in their 10 fixtures have 26 points. Martinelli in the last 4 fixtures has 33 points.
Yeah, and of course I sold him 4 fixtures ago.
I sold him 4 fixtures ago for Bruno Fernandes, I think. So but that's wild, right? 2 players with 10 fixtures have like 8 points less than him almost. So I think just that from the reason I brought that in as an example is I just don't see, like, when we were playing Liverpool, especially, like, any outlet it looked like we had would be him.
Yeah.
And I think next year, like, obviously, I think at this point we can say that we will be in the Champions League. So I don't think I can jinx that. But so when we're there, I actually think that Martinelli is going to be the one that's going to, like, really surprise a lot of people around Europe. I think he's going to surprise the fuck out of people, because in a competition like that, on the transition, on the counter, where you can hurt teams, and it's
It
fast
suits
paced.
his game to a T, don't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see. So for me, Martinelli, he's again, even though like you might play a back five potentially or back three, back five, as you're saying, fella. I still feel like Martinelli is just currently our guy. Like he's just our guy. Like he is. As soon as Jesus has got back into this team, it started when Trossard got back into the
It
team.
did, yeah.
But now that Jesus is back and that kind of chemistry can continue to blossom between them, their understanding is telepathic, I think. Jesus brings all the best out of Martinelli and he sees him as a role model, I think, and wants to follow in his steps, right? So this is the lineup I expect. I don't see Trossard starting.
And it's a great sub to have, right? Should we need it as well. So, yeah.
It's what we needed all season, right? Like a game changer. Holding will play. I think we can safely say that.
I do worry about Antonio against Holding.
That's the thing. That's what I was gonna. That's why I brought up Holding. Because if it was Danny Ings, I don't think I'd be as concerned with the rest of obviously the support that Holding has around him with the regulars in the team. But if Antonio just sits on him like the whole game, that does kind of concern me a bit because I've seen Antonio bully the hell out of teams. He's like a single man tank at times, and it scares me a little bit. I just hope that we can kind of control possession enough that there aren't many of those on transition through balls up to Antonio, lumping it up to him. And that's why I'm also nervous of Paqueta, because I think he'll maybe give you more control in the game, Dan, where without him, I think you might rely on transitions only.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think at set pieces we'll be fairly decent against you guys. I mean, I would worry about Zuma, Ogbonna, as you said, Antonio, at set pieces. What are you guys like at kind of corners and free kicks and defending them this season? Obviously, you're top of the league, so that speaks for itself. But
it was good, right? Pre-World Cup.
Could we need a goal there?
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's been bad since the restart.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened, but yeah, pre-World Cup, we were brilliant. Like you could see massive strides and stuff. Whereas now, like we do look a bit fidgety in the box when we're defending them. And yeah, I think against a team like you guys, I definitely think there's scope for us to kind of mess up from there.
I think we've been having like a few changes. So we have like Odegaard and Zinchenko. They're not necessarily like the guys you want to be defending, the guys you just mentioned. And it feels that at the moment, Odegaard's like the guy who's, because we're doing like a zonal system. We're not really man marking either, right? So Odegaard's like the one who's there at the front post and he's supposed to be there to like help. But I think teams have been watching footage, and with the way data analysis at clubs are these days, they've been choosing to target him. And like there was a game recently, wasn't there, Clayton, where we thought like how did Odegaard get beat and how did they score from that corner? But teams are physically targeting the way we're setting up to zonally mark, and they're looking for the weak spots in our setup on set pieces. So it does concern me, the set pieces, if I'm really honest. That's where I think we're most likely to concede in any given game.
Yeah. It'll either be a set piece or a counter from us. We won't have much of the ball, as you've said. I think you'll control most of the possession, and it'll be up to us to kind of break that and kind of counter on you or score from a
that. Do you think you guys will look to press us or just kind of sit off and try and defend it?
Yeah.
So 100%. You'll try and make it hard for us to kind of break you guys down in that sense. Yeah.
The old age part of the bus, I think. To be honest.
Yeah. So that's interesting because like that used to terrify me, but we've got a lot better at kind of dealing with those sort of situations now. But yeah, you'll definitely make us work for it.
Hopefully we go kind of into half time, not 2 or 3 down, and it's just like, oh well, game over.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what will make the difference, right? So if you're kind of somehow still in the tie, even a 1-0, really, like you'll probably feel like a lot of confidence boost going into the second half. So you could keep the tie alive. But yeah, as you say, Clayton, on that note, I think it'll be good. This is going to be the first time we're going to get a score prediction from a third person. So it'll be interesting to keep track of who was the most optimistic and who was the most delusional out of the 3 of us.
Yeah, it's so interesting because obviously you said, I don't know if you were joking, Dan, or if you actually meant it, but when you said about like you'd kind of hope it's just 1 or 2-0. So does that kind of feed into where you think it will be? What's your score prediction?
Oh, it's depressing seeing that on the screen because obviously I remember kind of all of those games, and to be honest with you, I think those aren't the worst ones. I think I've remembered you coming to our place and beating us 4-5-1 in the past. I think even when you had Carlos Vela in your team, he ruined us. But look, I'm a realist, and you guys are the top of the league and playing some incredible football, and we're struggling. I think my head says it'll probably be 2 or 3-1 to you guys.
Okay.
My heart hopes for kind of a 1-0, and that we all play fantasy football as well, and a 1-0 with kind of Rob Holding scoring, an own goal and a goal would be perfect in that instance. But yeah, I think 2 or 3. I'll go with 3-1 to you guys, and then from my heart it'll be 1-0.
Fair play. Nima, what are you thinking?
So it's interesting you've gone for 3-1. So shout out to Mike in the chat, Mike Halpin. He's also gone for 3-1 to the Arsenal. So that's 2 of you on that stand. After what we've just said about the kind of height in your team and the set pieces and the strength from Antonio, I am a bit concerned that we will probably concede. So I need to. I'm just wondering if you can get 2. What I'm really worried about is like some KG arse 3-2 where we just about win like last minute again, and there's like absolute limbs. But I'm gonna go with that 3-2.
3-2, bloody hell! I hope it's not like that.
Well, I hope it's not like that, but it's stress.
I hope it's not, but yeah, 3-2 would be
5 goals. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
mine's a very boring. I think it's going to be 1-0 to the Arsenal. I think it's literally like I think we'll have like quite a lot of control in the game, like you said, Dan. Like you're going to sit off us and stuff, and I think we'll struggle to break you guys down. I do, but I think we'll just kind of get one and then try and manage the game. And yeah, obviously there's the threat of you guys on the counter and like set pieces and stuff. I just think away from home we're very, very good. Like Anfield aside, like where we took a bit of a battering in that second half. But like, what was that stat, Nima, about us in like London derbies away from home this season? It's like we've won all of them, right, and clean sheets in all of them.
Yeah, we've not conceded a goal in 5 London derbies or something. Oh no, I think it's 5 away London derbies. It's like the only team to have won all 5 and not conceded a goal or something.
Because what was it? It was Tottenham, Chelsea, Brentford, Fulham, and then there's one escaping my mind. But yeah, either way, like, but all of them, like,
probably Palace. Was that a clean sheet?
Oh yeah, of course, Palace, first game of the season. Yeah, but all of them, apart from Palace, was like very controlled. And I don't know, like we've spoken a bit before about like at home. I don't know if I think you said it, Nima. Like we kind of go a bit too expressive sometimes, and we leave ourselves open. But whereas when we're away from home, it's like we're a bit more mature and kind of play a bit more with more maturity. So I'm hoping it will be a similar theme to the other away London games that we've had this season.
There were seasons gone by where we got 0 away clean sheets in the league. Forgetting London derbies, mate.
Well, you've struggled. You struggled against that arch enemy for the last 4 or 5 years, I guess. So yeah, have you got to play them again this season?
No.
That's
all done. Yeah,
dispatched. Easy 6 points done.
Easy 6 points. That was my first game I went to this season.
I think we played.
I know United faced them in game week 33. I think
we've faced them both home and away. To be honest,
I want to get
both
Dan's
home and away.
On Dan, just putting you on the spot here. Who do you think is going to win the title?
See the other week, wasn't it? We had that beer, and that was obviously before.
That was before Liverpool.
That was before the Liverpool game, and you were saying, and I don't want to dig you out here, Clayton, but you were saying that you were saying that you might struggle with it, and I was saying no, you're gonna do it. I think you're gonna do it.
I think at the time I said I thought we'd lose it by a point or 2, right? And I still think that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm more edging towards that now. Obviously, the game in a couple of weeks or whenever it is massive. Is huge. I think I'm at West. Oh no, is it what, 23rd of April, that game?
26th, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, Wednesday the 26th with the Man City Arsenal game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Wednesday the 26th we've got.
Yeah, I think that's the same night we've got Liverpool. So yeah, I'm a bit gutted that I can't watch that, because I think that is kind of the game of the season. Obviously it's going to have a lot of repercussions, that game. So yeah, I think I genuinely think whoever wins that game will win the league.
And if it's a draw?
And if it's a draw, I think you'll win the league.
Interesting. Okay.
So we just have to not lose, right, Clayton?
Yeah.
I
think if you draw that game, you've won the league, and then either way, I think
it's so tight, though, right? I think
know.
It's important to note that people are talking about either team bottling it, but if you get to 93 points and lose a league, I don't think you can call that bottling it. If City go on a 14-game winning run, like, fair play, you just got to take your hat off and say fuck, like, but they did it, innit? Like,
yeah. I mean, I wind Spurs up all the time about bottling, but it's a 38 games. It's a 38 game season, and whoever gets the most points out of those 38 games wins the league. It doesn't matter when you get those points. If you've ended up with one more point than the other team, you were the better team over the season. That's just kind of how it is. Obviously, towards the end of the season, there's extra pressure and things like that. But if you haven't done the business in the first 5 games, then yeah, it is what it is. What if you lost the league against Liverpool, but you drew against someone back in October? Who's to say that wasn't the reason why you haven't won the league?
That's a good point. Yeah, so like the draw against Southampton earlier this season
comes to mind.
If you'd have beaten them, that becomes say you beaten them, you lose to Liverpool.
Yeah, if you'd have beaten Southampton 7 points ahead instead of 5, and it's looking rosy.
I just hope it's not. I hope it's not lost by 2 points, because I will always think of that.
I will lose my shit.
The Brentford game, right?
I mean, everyone's talking about you drawing at Anfield and bottling it. I mean, come on, who goes to Anfield and wins? I mean, obviously this year, yes, but how tough is it to go to Anfield and win there?
I don't think the top 6. I don't think the big 6 have won there since 2016 when I last looked at it. Exactly. No one from the big 6.
Van Dijk hadn't lost a game there
for years.
It was like the first time he hadn't. It was like the first time he'd lost a game like this season, wasn't it? Or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So
I think, like I said last week, mine was just more like how we were looking at 2-0. It's like, it's gutting. But my thing, why I say I hope if we lose it, it's not on 2 points, is that bloody Brentford game with VAR and the drawing the line like that. I feel like that's been forgotten about, and it's just like stuck in my head rent free.
It was go on.
So we got one question from Mike before we go. I asked him if he had any questions for you, Dan. So this is a good one to see us out, I think. He says, any thoughts on the Rice rumours? It'd be good to see. Obviously, he's a big Chelsea boy. Do you think he wants to go back there and prove that he became the man they didn't think he could become?
The Chelsea one's weird, to be honest, because they dumped him at 14. Like, he was there and they didn't sign him, or they didn't keep him on in their academy. We took a punt on him from 14. Obviously, burst onto the scene. He's now, I think he's already had over 50 caps for England, scored a few goals for them. He's obviously the first name on the team sheet and our club captain now. He has been kind of one of my favourite players for the last 3 or 4 years. And can you remember who his first goal in the Premier League was against?
I'm guessing us.
Yeah. And like literally my celebration for that goal, like to see him score his first goal was amazing. But I digress.
I think I remember it actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it came into the box and he like kind of
I do remember that.
It was about in line with the penalty spot.
Was that your place, weren't it?
Yeah. what I want from Declan Rice is I want him to go on to a Premier League club, captain them, and captain them to winning the title. I don't want him to go to one of these teams and him to straight away be on the bench, or he should be whoever he goes to, he should be starting. To be honest, he should be kind of pushing on the door to be their captain. The Chelsea thing, will he go there? I don't know. And then I don't think it was before this season that Arsenal were in with a shout, and now obviously I think your league position is,
things have changed quickly, right?
I think your league position is talking the talk with regards to Declan Rice, and obviously what Arteta's building there is amazing. Would he work well with kind of players like Odegaard? I think he would. I think him and Odegaard would do really well. So yeah, if he goes to you, then fair enough. I think the only team I wouldn't want him to go to is obviously Spurs, but they're not gonna lump Daniel Levy. He's not gonna get his checkbook out and write a check for 80 to 100 million pounds. So yeah, I think if he goes to you, then happy days. I mean, I don't hate Arsenal. Would I? And if he goes and wins trophies for you and wins your first Champions League, then happy days.
God, don't dangle that carrot.
Imagine that'd be, yeah. I mean, look, we know where we know where we stand in the football pyramid. West Ham at the moment, we're kind of a fairly large kind of club, but obviously haven't got the power of the
fairly
Chelsea.
Large. Don't you mean massive?
But yeah, we haven't got the pool like the Chelsea's, Arsenal's, United, Cities of the world's, and Declan always says that he wants to go and win trophies, and he's got more chance with those 4 or 5 clubs than he has with us, and it'll help his kind of development as well, and help the England team as well. I think if he's playing in the Champions League week in, week out against the top players, if he's playing, I mean, he's playing against Ghent last night. Next season, he could be playing against Real Madrid and Barcelona.
That's
Milan's, Ajax's.
Just the experience,
that's when we'll see what he's made of. I mean, we've already seen him in a Euros and a World Cup, and obviously the World Cup was disappointing for England, but we got to the finals of the Euros, and some of that is probably because of Rice. Obviously not all of it, but yeah. When was the last time we saw us in a final? So I think him leaving for his own development this summer will be good for him, and a disappointment for us.
Interesting to see where he ends up, but cool. I think is that a wrap?
I've just had a look, by the way. Please beat Man City away from home in game week 34 on the 3rd of May. I'll be watching your team for that game, man. We need anything. Get a draw. Do whatever you can. Just fucking take some points from them.
Hang on. At home on the 3rd
at the Etihad. Yeah, the Etihad.
Okay. Because I was like, I don't like, because I've obviously got all our home games in my head because I need to put them in the calendar, but I didn't know that. Fair enough. We'll get spanked. Sorry, lads.
No, man, you can do it, man. We need a Mikhail Antonio special hat-trick.
I've been up to the Etihad for one of our games, and it wasn't. It was an enjoyable. Me and Kelly went, and it was an enjoyable day, but or weekend, and but the game wasn't, which was quite funny. But I don't think we can help you. I mean, don't think we could help you out other than that. But yeah, cool.
Never say never.
Yeah, never say never.
I think more hope than you do for that game.
I think we had Man City. Do you remember the season where City and Liverpool went really close, and I think City ended up winning it on the last day. I think it was in 2018. It wasn't last season. It was in 2018, and I think we had Man City kind of in the second or third to last game, and everyone was like, "Oh, come on, West Ham!" Like Liverpool, like all the Liverpool fans, and I was like, "Yeah, you got no chance." So yeah,
I love
We'll
it.
see.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks a lot,
We'll
mate.
get you on again in the future. We're there rooting for you guys to win your European competition and
Yeah, no,
give
thanks.
give Declan a trophy with you, because then at least, like you say, even though you didn't think he might win trophies with you, maybe he can win one on his way out.
Yeah, true.
That'll be nice. So we'll see you all next time for the review of the match. In the meantime, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
Up
Sorry,
the
Dan.
Arsenal.
Yeah, we've got to get your hammers in while you can. Up the Arsenal, and we will see you all next time. Thanks again.
Nice one.
Yeah,
Cheers,
cheers
Dan.
guys.
Okay.
Speak to you later.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.